nuts and what? Save them. They're intelligent what? Count 'em. So while the squirrel was off, the scientists said we are going to put an educated rat in the maze with the other rat. So what they did was they put another rat in there, and the rat all went together. And the educated rat met him and he said, "What's happening?" And he began to say, "Well, our brother off in a tree somewhere gathering some nuts." And the rat said, "Who? That squirrel?" And then the rat said, "What you talking about? That's not no squirrel. That's our brother. That's our brother, man. He was born with us. He been with us in America. Well, I know. He been with us since birth. That's our brother." And then all of a sudden, that rat said, "Let me give you the history of the squirrel. The history of the squirrel." And he began to educate him about the squirrel. He said, "Man, the squirrel is faster than you. He's stronger than you. He's quicker than you. He can outthink you. And if you ever let the squirrel know that he's a squirrel, one day he will rule you." You hear me, church? You hear me, church? So, what the other scientist did is he went and got him a smart, educated squirrel. Yeah. He put him in the maze to the other squirrel. And then he went to tell another squirrel. Because the squirrel said, "What you doing?" He said, "I'm going down there to feed my brothers." And the squirrel said, "Who? Those rats? You call those rats your brother?" And the squirrel said, "Surely you must be kidding. There is no way that you could be brothers with a rat." And then he began to educate him on his history of being a squirrel. You hear me, church? You hear me, church? He told him, he said, "You are a squirrel. You come from greatness. You have the power to climb trees. You have the power to break open nuts. You have the power to climb from one tree to the other. You have the genius and able to think beyond today because you know how to save for tomorrow. You are a superior animal, and you are not to wander and squabble with rats." So as the rats began to plot to kill the squirrel, surely they were not aware of the fact that another squirrel was led in the maze as well. And as they approached over to kill the squirrel, the two squirrels stood up proud, and they knew that look in their eyes. And they said, "Oh no, we know who we are. We know where we come from. You can't touch me if I know who I am and where I come from." You see, church, when you know who you are and if you know where you come from, you have power. You have the spiritual development and what you're talking about. You have the power right here. The only problem with the development of the spirit of the African American male is that he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where he came from. He doesn't know where he's going. That's the problem that we have with the development of the African American male. Do you hear me, church? Do you hear me, church? Race. We talk about it all the time. We always talking about race. We're always talking about white man done me this, white man done me that. See, when people come in my face about that, immediately I ask them, "What you doing for yourself?" I don't want to hear about what somebody's doing to me. What you doing for yourself? Because race, you must understand what race means. You have to understand that we all are team. Then when we in the crowd, who we gonna be rooting for? Who we want to win the basketball game? Imani Temple. Am I losing somebody? Am I losing? I want to know. We have a church, are we not? I can hear y'all. So if we was in a race and me and Father Glenn was running side by side, who do you think I want to win the race? Surely he would think that. But I would be running for myself to win the race. Now, here we are in a race of life. We are in a race of life. Now, I have a white guy, gentleman, friend, or what have you, human being, right next to me, and here I am, running also in the race of life. Is it his job to help me to win my race? Or is it his job to help himself to win his own race? So why are we in 1991 still asking somebody else to run our race for us? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. When young brothers come to me and tell me, oh, the white man out there, oh, your mouth. I don't want to hear it, bro. I am from the Desire Project. Yes, 7 brothers, 1 sister lived in a 2-bedroom home. Don't tell me about Henry Rounds. I was wearing James Brown stuff when Michael Jackson was out. You know I was outdated. Don't tell me about not having. But I didn't let that bother me. I didn't let that fret me one bit. I grew up in the Desire Project, yes, but I've never drank, I've never smoked, I've never done drugs, and I've never done anything illegal. So don't tell me about people from a certain environment have to be a certain way. Don't tell me that. Tell me that these people need to have spiritual development. They need to know God. They need to know their history. They need to know their culture. This is what they need to know. This is the spiritual development in which they need. Do you hear me, church? Let's research the word race as described in Webster. Race, the art of running, the course of life, a contest of speed. Are you hearing, church? This is Webster. This is Webster. A meeting in which several races are run. You see, even Webster knows that we in life are running a race. Whether or not we want to believe it or not, a contest or rivalry involving progress toward a goal. You see, sometimes racing is not only going forward, but sometimes racing is holding somebody back. You understand, church? You understand, church, that racing is not always trying to go fast. Sometimes racing is trying to keep the guy from even running at all. So when you understand race, then you become a racist. Because you need to understand what that word means. Another thing for race is a class, a kind of people unified by community or interest, habit, or characteristic. That's what we are. We come together in form of characteristics. We all have the same what? Characteristics. We don't look like Japanese people, do we? Some of us, right? We got a little brother, we got mixed up a little bit. Some of us look like Chinese too. Saw a black guy the other day with slant eyes. I didn't know what I was looking at. I had to ask myself, who are you, bro? Because we are mixed up. But in order for us to straighten up, we have to I used to wish it get made up, but it never did. It never did. Races, they believe that race is a primary determining of a human trait and the capacity that a racial difference produces an inherent superior of a particular race. ISM is a characteristic or particular feature or trait. Now we must understand that if, like I said, we Imani Temple and we have a basketball team and Greater St. Stephen's have their basketball team, that makes us a little what? Racist. Because we want our team to what? To win. So don't get angry because the other guys are rooting for what? Greater St. Stephen's. That's their job. That's their dedication. So let's not focus on what you would call things that is irrelevant. That's not going to solve our problem every day on television talking about how somebody else is racist. What we need to do is solve our own problems. Now how do we do this? How do we do this? We must understand who we are and where we're going. This is how we do this. I remember my first year at UNO, I wasn't really planning to go to college. I'm going to be honest with you all. I was just going to shut my mom up. Y'all know I would do that, right? Oh, Mom, please. But Eric, you're going to be the first boy. I got 80 of y'all boys. And you're going to be the first one to go to college. And me, I knew I wasn't prepared for no college. Because I played around after while I was at college. I think I was assessed a reading on a 4th grade level when I graduated. Isn't that sad? That's sad. So when I went to college, it was merely just to satisfy my mom, because I knew I wasn't going to make it before I even went. But I figured I'd have a good time in the rec room and all that other good stuff. Have at least a good semester, you know what I mean? And what you call everybody, what they say word out? I figured I'd go and perpetrate for a semester or two. Yeah, that's what I thought. But see, the Lord knew what was inside me. And he said, okay, just go ahead on and give it a try. Well, see, I was a little good at mathematics. So I was sitting in the classroom, and I took my very first math class. I failed all the English and stuff. And I was just about to give up because I was so depressed. I was so aggravated. And then all of a sudden I said, I'm going to give this math my very best. Because I know I'm a little good at math. So I'm going to check it out. So I worked hard to make this math test work. You know what I'm saying, church? At the end of the test, they found out that I had the highest grade in the classroom. And I looked over and I saw brothers from St. Aug, Brother Martin, Jesuit, Eric, 35. And I said to myself, somebody played a trick on me. Yeah, it was at that time that I woke up and understood this. I'm going to leave you all with a poem. This is a poem in which I wrote in 1979. And I live by this poem every day. And this poem has been a part of my life. This is a poem that keeps me in control. It's called He Uses Human Instruments. Did y'all hear what I said, church? He uses human instruments. There are many things in life that we do not know, most of which we need in life to help us as we grow. Our Father has set special plans to show us where to go. But He
favorite live band? Huh?